Hi, welcome to Video Review. I'm Aaron Cavagnolo. I'm here with Zach Collier. Zach, good to be back with you here again.
Yeah, these are fun reviews to do.
Yeah. So today we're going to look at a video Zach Smith sent us, and it's a Tuolumne River, and specifically Clavin Falls Rapid, which they're running right now. And then we'll also take a look at Grindstone. It's probably about 1,500 to 2,000 CFS. Looking at the flows here. And
Yep.
So yeah.
And one thing, a couple of things I'm noticing. One is there's a bunch of blue boats behind them, which that to me, that's the Camp Clavey right just above this falls. I'm guessing that's a commercial trip, probably Sierra Mac. They had camped there that night, or maybe they came down and parked there to scout, but they probably camped there, and they're going to run it here pretty soon too.
I know one thing, Zach, one thing I want to add is like, hey, we really appreciate Zach sharing this video with us. And by no means are we trying to say like, what we're saying is the right way to do this.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like more, it's just like, hey, these are our ideas. These are our thoughts. This is what we're seeing. And this is our perspective on it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, hopefully you'll come out of it with something like, oh, cool. Maybe I'll try doing it that way next time. Oh, I didn't think about that. Or, the other thing we really appreciated, we've had some really good comments and responses. And after the video that's created some just great dialogue and interesting thoughts about how to be the safest in terms of running different rapids.
Yeah, and I hope we come off as not being know-it-alls, because we probably, I don't know, maybe we think we're know-it-alls, but we really want to have an open discussion. We learn from these things too. I feel like here Aaron and I are particularly experts because we both worked on this river for many years. We've played chess on that little island right there behind him. We played chess there many times together after camping here at Clavey. And, we know these rapids very well after many, many years of running this river. So we might have an authoritative tone because we've probably each run this rapid 100, 200 times.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yes.
So
too many.
I'll go ahead and play it. And so they're taking what's known as the falls line, and to his left is another line that we take at higher water. What's this called? The goalpost line that we also do a lot at higher flows. It looks like it's open too right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then the high water line on the far left doesn't look like it's open right now.
It's too low for that. So the falls at this flow is pretty juicy. Like they're going to go through a pretty big wave right here. I'll hit play. Or a pretty big hole there, but that cataraft has no problem.
You go, yeah.
And it looks to me from the video, and I hear some of the audio on these, we're not hearing the audio now, is the guy in the front seems to know what he's doing and is given the rower direction. So my guess is that the guy in the front's super experienced and, just sort of like talking the guy rowing through. I don't know for sure, but that's the impression I'm getting by all this pointing. So funny. Yeah. He's celebrating because this hole that they're going into, this wave thing, used to be a flipper. Like you would definitely avoid that. And the fact they already know they're going to make it and celebrating, I guess Clavey changed like 5 or 6 years ago, right, Aaron?
Even more than that. I think it started changing in the early mid 2000s. When we were there, it was starting to change. I mean, it was way nastier in like 96, 97. I remember it just slowly started to get easier and easier. And there's a rock just upstream that's just almost out of view, and those rocks slid down. And some people think that helped change it in terms of pushing the water in a different direction. And there's other thoughts that some rocks move down within Clavey Hole itself. But it's definitely like flushes a lot more than it used to. It used to be much stickier hole, much more vertical, and like it got to the point where you're almost like, can I even surf in this anymore? And I remember we were, I hate to say this, but I was almost trying to surf in, like I don't think you can even get stopped.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, I think it gets its class 5 reputation, or it was a class 5 rapid for so long because the hole is nasty. I'd say now with the easier hole, it's maybe more of a 4+ or a 4.
Yeah, I'll say the entrance though up top is and as we'll see from the other footage is it's hard to hit that entrance. The entrance at the top is fairly challenging. So it's definitely one of the harder class 4 rapids if you want to call it class 4.
So this is the end of the rapid here. The thing that's a glaring thing to me is I don't feel like that one throwback in that position provides much safety. And so for me, I'm always thinking about what happens. This is the first boat. What happens if they flip and swim? You have 2 swimmers in the water. I don't feel like where he's at, he could actually throw a bag to a swimmer in that current right there. The swimmers just wouldn't see them because there's so much water in their face. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I agree, Zach. And I'll say the next thing that I would say is that rather than having someone on shore with a bag, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if you agree with this or not, Zach, I'd much rather have another boat follow me down. If I'm the lead boat, oh, you're gonna be on shore with a throwback. Hey, why don't you follow me down in another boat? And then that way, if something happens, you can actually chase me down for better safety for each other. I feel like it's a better. There's more safety there having
Yeah.
two boats run together.
You know, I agree with you on this. We've done this together many times, right? Like if you have 5 boats, for example, maybe you send the first 2 down first. They're looking out for each other. They can help each other with problems, and then maybe also have a throwback as well in case, but maybe not position there further down. But yeah, I'm a big fan of send 2 or 3 boats together as a team, set safety at the bottom for the next 2 or 3 boats that come down.
But and you know what happens? I've done it too. Is that you will start walking down, you're like, oh, that's a long walk down there, and you're like, oh, I can just stop here with my throw
Yeah.
bag, and I'll be there in case, and it's a low probability of anything happening. But then then when something does happen, then you're like, oh, I'm not in the right spot. So
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they set somebody down the throw bag just to do it, but I don't see how that can be effective in that spot. Personally, I would go down to the bottom of the rapid, where if there's a swimmer, they'll be able to see you, and you can get to align to them accurately. And it looks like that next rock outcropping would be a little better, and then even further in the eddy at the bottom would be even better, maybe.
yeah, and I think they might be able to hit a person with a throw bag there, but it's that's a long throw too, like all the way
It's a long
across
throw.
to the side of the river,
You
and
could hit the person, but also that person, again, there's waves right there. So the person may not be
Mhm.
aware there's even anybody throwing a bag. Like you can't communicate because that distance is so far, and there's waves and things. So they wouldn't hear, if you said rope, they wouldn't hear it. They probably wouldn't see it coming.
and then they're on the other side of the rock going down the drop, and
Yeah.
all those reasons are better. Now that being said, Zach, if you back up to that spot again where the person was, if you go back to where they were setting safety, the one thing that I will say the advantage of them being where they are
Mhm.
is if somebody does fall out and is heading towards this pool up here, they could run up here real quick and throw them and pull them to shore before going down that little drop there. And that
Oh, you
might
mean
be,
if they end up going far right for some
yeah,
reason?
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be the one advantage I could see is like, oh, hey, because like swimming that thing sucks,
Yeah.
that's, and so that maybe, like it'd be hard
Yeah,
to get
that's a
all the
good
way over
point.
there, but maybe that's what they were thinking and they were concerned about that.
Yeah.
And I'd say, the probability that's low, but okay.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is I think if you're trying to like take into all the variables into account and figure out how you're going to run safety, the best safety possible for this situation, you're going to make good decisions. Not everyone's going to make the same decisions, but you'll
Yeah.
make good decisions. If you're, and they won't always be the same, but you just got to try to think about all the variables, what could happen, where someone could swim, where do I want to be to assist them, what are my big concerns about? Oh,
Yep. And in my head right now, looking at this, if they're swimming, if that boat flips and they swim, or they both fall out, or even one falls out, that throw bag person is kind of useless, and there is no downstream safety. So
no.
I think the way to provide downstream safety is to maybe have the throwback person go further down, maybe 2 people, but also like you mentioned earlier, have that maybe run it 2 boats together,
Yeah.
so that if one boat flips, then the other one can help.
Mm.
If they both flip, then you have a huge catastrophe too. But I think you have to do some risk management here and just think about what works in the situation. Every situation is different. We're also kind of talking specific to Clavey.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it a long time ago, 98. I shouldn't have mentioned another company, but I saw another commercial company come through in 98, so a long time ago, and they ran 6 boats together, and 4 of the 6 boats flipped. That was a
That's
mess.
happened. That's not the only time that's happened. Other outfitters have done that too. I've seen that. Which
Yeah.
I mean, there's something they said to all run together, but then it all sits messy. But then if you have 2 of them go, and one of the 2 flips, and then they go down on the corner, you're like, okay, we don't know what happened to them. Now what do we do? And then you could still run the next 4 boats, and if 4 of the 6 flip, you run in 3 sets of 2. Well, one set of 2 could be floating, but I guess hopefully after the first 2 flip, maybe you would like line the boats or run into the empty. Or
Yeah, you just got like these. It's complicated. You got to think these things through, and there's no always exact principle. I think that's important. Like there's a lot of ways to do it, and just thinking things through is key. So what we're looking at now is the I think this is the head cam view of the same run, same boat, but the person in front had a GoPro on their head. So this first part kind of always, it's kind of unpredictable what happens to you. And so he does a good job of dealing with being turned sideways and spinning the boat around. And again, man, back in the day, Aaron, if you were in this spot at this flow, you'd be super nervous. But it's so nice that it's easier.
If you go back up to where they stop, oh boy, okay, right there. There's that rock just above. I think more of a problem in Clavey Hole now is the rocks just to the right of it when the water's a little lower, about boats wrapping on those rocks. I think that's a bigger issue.
Rock right there.
That rock right there, yeah. That one's a little lower, Pelican Rock, yeah.
That's Pelican Rock right there, right?
Yeah, that's more of a problem than the hole. That causes whale problems. People getting perched on there, wrapped on there. Seen that way too often.
I've been on a wrapped boat on that rock before.
I remember that.
Yeah. I wasn't the one rowing. But yes.
I remember you got Vlad really mad too.
It may have been my fault that the boat wrapped. That's possible. But I have to say I wasn't running. So again, from this perspective, seeing the guy at the throw bag, if you're swimming by here, that I just don't see that throw bag pulling somebody out. That's a long throw. You swim into a wave. This is the thing I could keep going back to.
Yeah, like you're gonna want to throw it when they're down here, but they're gonna be underwater right here. They're gonna go under, and then they're gonna pop up down somewhere down around here.
Yep, and they're past the throw bag. Whereas if the person's right there on that rock, you see that outcropping. It's not the best place to be stable with the throw bag, but it's a short throw, right? The person can probably get their head above water, see you, and there's a tiny little eddy behind there to pull them into.
Yeah, you pull them in eddy. Yeah.
It's not the best place, but it's better than the last one for sure. Man, I miss being out here. This is such a great river. So, and then Aaron, after the rapid, where do you want to catch an eddy to set safety for the next boats?
Well, if I'm like you, Zach, I go for the highest eddy to look cool. The first eddy I can catch, I pull over and then just be like, If
you can catch the highest eddy, you should show others that you can, so they know how good you are. But you need to make sure people know your skills. But it's not the best for safety, because if somebody swims or whatever, you from the highest up eddy at the bottom, typically you can't get to them.
No, I'd say like a lot of times if I do catch a high eddy, what I will do is when the boat is coming down, I'll pull out early out of that eddy and just be out in the current downstream of them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so that I'm not going to have that problem. If something happens, that people are going to get from me. But hanging out in that high eddy where it's just in general is a bad practice.
But this is also, when we did the Oregon Whole Gorge video, we said you want to be in the high eddy in that case. And I think in that case, it's because there's another rapid coming up right away. So if you have a swimmer, you want to get them quickly. Here we know there's no rapid. There's a rapid around the corner, but there's time. So in this case, because there's time before the next rapid, I would catch a low eddy. So there's no chance that I pull out and the swimmer past me. Totally. So their choice of stopping in the eddy here is perfect.
Now, Zach, would you pull over and tie your boat up and then take your throwback out?
No, I wouldn't. Right? Is that a trick? Are you testing me?
Well, I mean, I see that pretty often, and it makes me. I'm like, really, man? Come on. It's like I'd way rather, if I swam, I'd way rather have someone rowing out with a boat for me than someone on shore throwing a throwback and hoping to get it to me. Or particularly if there's like 4 of us swimming, are you gonna bag all 4 people? Once again, way rather have a boat out there ready to rescue.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being my safest, I'm in my boat waiting for them ready to go. If I'm like, hey, I want to take some photos. I want to get a better vantage point of them. I might tie the boat up, get up on a rock, take some photos, and have a throw bag. But the safest thing would be to do is be in my boat ready to go and go after them.
If you're taking photos, you're not safe too.
Well, no, I'm thinking about green wall. If you're a green wall and you're taking photos on shore, if you see them flip in that halfway down, you have time to get down to your boat, grab your throw bag, and throw a bag. But the safest thing I could be doing is being in my boat. So if they flip, I'm able to pull in behind them.
If you really want to be safe, though, you don't have a camera in your hand.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I agree. By me pulling over, tie my boat up with the camera, I'm being less safe. I agree. So if I'm in maximum safety mode, no, I sit in my boat. If I feel like there's other people around that can provide safety, if I feel like it's the consequences are low, I might be taking photos.
Or you're going to get some really sick photos out of it. Then you might.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, it's hard
Yeah.
because when you're doing that, you almost want the flip because you want photos of it. It's so hard to get photos like that.
All right, so entering Grace. Here we go. He's got the nice entrance. He's doing the lower entrance, and then he's really smooth there. That's a tough cut actually right there between those two rocks.
Yeah.
That's not, that's not an easy little move. And then he doesn't ship his right over there, but he doesn't need to really. How about this one? He's kind of lifting up over. That works out okay there.
I'm not sure why he pulled into that. Was he turning his boat to be straight? There's a pull move, dumps momentum there, but maybe he was trying to straighten the boat up.
And then that other boat is, the spacing's a little farther apart than I'd like, but not bad. You can see the other boat way downstream there, just in the corner. And that's a little farther apart than you'd like, but not too bad.
Yeah, we've been talking about this a lot lately. Like, if that front boat has a swimmer, or if that front boat flips, this boat is at safety. Yeah. And so could he catch up with them if they're swimming downstream at this point? And I would say no. And knowing Grace Grindstone, those guys are gone if they flip here. It'd be hard to, especially, a gear boat with some weight, catch any swimmers downstream. So either that front boat is pretty exposed. They must feel pretty confident to be that exposed.
Yeah.
And then there's a pretty big hole. Grace Grindstone, this rapid, is famous for this hole right here that likes to flip boats at higher water. So I'd be a little nervous here, but he's backwards, so he'll probably power through. Yeah. But there's a spot you could flip a boat there pretty easily. Solid strokes though. That's just nice rowing.
I like his angle again. He's getting fairly perpendicular to the current pulling in the eddy. He's not pulling too much upstream. He's just like, hey, I'm going to go to the left side of the river now. And then as he gets closer to shore, then he slows down a little more. Yeah. But he's not, doing that upstream 45-degree ferry, classic ferry. That I feel like so many people are like, oh, you got a ferry at 45 degrees, and you're like, yeah. I feel like in general you're better off having more aggressive angles.
I'm starting to feel like that. I've been a big fan of teaching 45, but I'm starting to realize going for closer to 90 might be better.
The problem I will say with going closer to 90 is that downstream oar you're much more likely to catch a rock, which is real shallows is harder. But in a lot of ways it's more. You see he's getting a good angle here again. He's just gonna go on out.
So I think these are the only two boats. They're not waiting for other boats. And so now they're switching who's the lead. This cataraft with Zach is in the lead right now. And the impression I'm getting here, I'm just guessing, is the guy in the front has run this multiple times. Maybe he's even a guide. He has kind of that guide outfit going on where he might be a guide on this river who's giving, I think it's Zach rowing, giving him just some feedback on where to go, what to do. I don't know for sure. We have to guess a lot when we're watching people's videos.
And then I'll say this is a really tough rapid to run your first time. It just goes so long and there's so much going on, and you get very focused on what's in front of you. And one thing, Zach, you're always talking about is how often are they looking back? And he's not looking back that often, at all right now. And it's a challenge to do both, but it's ideal if you can.
Yep, I would have already looked back twice at this point. Just make sure
the guy pulled out in the eddy, out of the eddy right behind you.
Yeah.
Is he falling right behind me, or do I have someone behind me, or am I on my own?
He looks back there. Yep.
Oh, yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
The guy in the front's looking back. So yeah, I mean, it's something that I'm very aware of is when you're running lead too, you got to make a decisions. And this part of Grace Grindstone is pretty straightforward. It's tricky. There's some maneuvers, but it's not rocket science. And so you have time to look back pretty often if you wanted to, I would think.
Totally.
The one thing I just noticed, look at his ammo can at the bottom.
Which one?
The one.
ZZZ. Shit.
Shit, yeah. That's funny.
So one of the things I like too, Zach, is he's not like some people are pivot, pull, pivot, pull, pivot, pull. And he's more, okay, I'm going to point my nose towards the right side of the river and I'm going to pull backwards and I'll push forwards instead of turning every single time. I think this is more efficient. And sometimes he'll spin through drops like there, but he's not turning every time. Now he'll probably do it a bunch, but I like how he has his nose pointed towards one side of the river and kind of keeps it there. And I think at low water that works really well. High volume, you're going to be spinning more just because you got to square up to the big features. But most of the features
Yeah.
here aren't that big, and it's more about just avoiding the rocks. So you're just moving back and forth.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously he's great on the oars. I mean, he can both push and pull and use them at will. So he doesn't have to only push, doesn't have to only pull. He's basically switching between the techniques and using them when they make the most sense. This would be a hard rapid to push the whole way down right now.
Yeah.
You could do it. I mean, you and I had used to have the lines memorized, so we could do it back. I couldn't now. I forgot all of these lines, but we would probably try to push the whole way just to see if we could. But not knowing the lines really well, you kind of have to be pulling and pushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
To push it, you have to think way ahead of time about your momentum and position and angle to push off, and know where all the little rocks are to pull that off.
Yeah, I feel like pushing is more about the tracking of the boat too than actually pushing. Like if I'm pushing, I'm pushing a little bit, but it's mostly okay. I'm trying to use the tracking of the boat, and if I got to really make a move, then I'm gonna pull it. Like if I gotta really get over there, then maybe that's just because I'm not that big and strong.
This is super cool video. Zach, thanks for sharing this with us, by the way. I think there's a lot of people here in the Northwest too who have never seen the Tuolumne, never seen this style of water, that I'm sure just like, whoa, what is this river? I have to go there. And you should. This river is amazing.
Yeah. And it runs
It's
all
interesting.
summer.
It runs all summer. Look, it doesn't run 1500 or whatever. I'm guessing this is 1500. It doesn't run at that flow all summer, but this looks like summer because the hillsides are brown. This looks like,
well, last year, it didn't drop down until late because they had so much water.
Yeah.
So. All right.
Okay, Here we go. Let's go back. One of my pet peeves. So, I mean, this is a place to ship an oar, right? There's that rock coming up on the left. An oar sticking out all the way is going to hit it. You don't need to use your left oar. This is where you take that blade, put it up next to the boat as you pass this rock so that this doesn't happen.
And
it's not a big deal now. It's not a big deal now. We're at the end of Gray's Grindstone. He can lose an oar. The reason I think it's a big deal, though, when you go to run harder rivers, you're going to need that oar in your hand. You don't need it coming out of your hand. And that oar could have theoretically hit his buddy, based on where his buddies sit. It could have hit something and smacked him in the back, and that's actually pretty dangerous. So I just think shipping is critical.
Yeah, and if you ship, and when Zach's talking about shipping, he's talking about shipping so you bring the blade forward and the handle back. And so that way, as you come by the rock, you can also use your oar right away. You're not having to reach forward and try to grab it, and then you don't have either oar. Versus when you ship it, you can always be using your other oar. And you can continue to use it. But if you have to reach forward to grab the other oar, you can't be rowing.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you pass the rock, you can dip that oar in the eddy behind. There's always an eddy behind the rock typically, and that eddy is incredibly powerful. So you have a lot of power with that oar if you dip it in behind that rock right away.
It's about building habits.
I wish we were here right now. I love this move through here.
See, well, this has changed in here.
Do you call this Gray's Grindstone still, or is this the next rapid?
Lower Grace.
This is Lower Grace. So it's a different rapid.
And see that chute there? That chute's way smaller than it used to be. That's what I'm talking about. There's that rock on the right that it just came out of nowhere, and it was like a huge hole. This is last summer.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it'd be fun to take a boat through that chute.
Yeah, it's a cool little chute. In the high water, it's a stompy hole.
Yeah, this is just good, clean fun right here. Nice. So he's
pulling upstream, and he didn't have as good of an angle there. That's why he got a little. He didn't. He's pulling more to 45, and that's why he got close to that rock.
So he should have, like, back here maybe seen that rock. I mean, at this point, me personally, I would be pushing. You're
pushing right to the rock.
Yeah, you're pointed to the right already. The water's going that way. I would just point that way and give it some nice easy strokes to the right, and you'll make it.
When his front of the front of his right tube is almost in that eddy water. If he gets that eddy water,
the eddy water on the right, it'll slow him down, really turn the boat. It's an easy push to the right. So by pulling, you're fighting.
But also, if you go back a second, you go back a little bit, back it up a little bit, just before he hits that little lateral wave right there. That lateral wave, the lateral wave coming on the left, go forward a little bit there. He's floating into it. And that lateral wave on the left, he's going to hit it in such a way that it's going to stop that left tube and it's going to push him back to the right more.
Yeah.
And so if he's pushing right, that's great. So if he wants to go left, this is one of the few spots he doesn't get more angle. He wants to get his butt farther downstream so he can break over that little lateral wave instead of having the lateral wave be parallel to his left tube.
Yeah. So if I'm knowing I'm going to go left of that rock, my boat is 90 degrees to the current right now. I'm pulling that boat pretty hard to the left so I can break that lateral. So and so we had somebody on an earlier video ask what a lateral was, and it's hard to explain in words, but these are waves at 45 degrees to the main current. And so if you're fairing at 45 degrees and you hit a lateral, you're hitting it basically parallel to this lateral wave, which is, we'll try to do a video about this because it's hard to explain, but it's going to funnel you back to the middle. And so you have to break these laterals at some angle to get through them.
Are all lateral waves at 45 degrees?
Approximately. Yeah. I mean, it's let's say between 27 degrees and 56 degrees, but yeah, as a generalization, they're about 45 degrees to the current. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Thanks for thinking that. So you have to break it at some angle. So if he's 90 degrees to the main current, he'll hit that lateral at some angle and break through it. If he basically is parallel to it, we might even see it that's the lateral right there. You can see it's kind of 45 degrees. Yeah. It's going to kind of push him back to the middle a tiny bit and send him into the rock.
If the wave was bigger, we could see how it would slow him down a lot more. And but even that little bit made a big difference, and that's why he didn't have it. That's the only spot I'll say that hasn't been really clean on this whole run.
Yeah. I mean, and he made it fine. He went through there fine. He probably, is like, you guys are being super nitpicky, and we are, but it's,
that's what we have to be on this video.
It's what we're doing. Yeah. If we just the whole time we're like, you're perfect. You're perfect. There's nobody would watch this and it'd be super boring. I feel like we have to have some sort of information to add.
We might get more videos though, Zach. More people would want us to analyze our videos if we just told them.
If we just say they're perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen. I mean, if I showed you some video of me rowing, you'd find things to nitpick too.
Yeah. He's having great runs. Yeah.
That is going for
and the other thing I'm going to say, it's harder when someone's towing you lines. If you have someone in your boat pointing you in directions, oh gosh.
That is super annoying.
Because who knows, maybe he was planning to go right and then bro up front tells him, hey, go left. He's like, okay.
Yeah. Incredibly annoying to have somebody tell you, for me at least. Maybe he wants it right now, but I would be super annoyed about it. And that's that rap we talked about earlier where I rapped on Pelican was me telling somebody where to go, and he changed his line and then rapped. So it was the same circumstance.
Yeah. No matter what, even if you want to help, it's much more challenging. I think having people tell you lines in the river.
Yeah.
While going down. Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for another episode, Aaron. If anybody out there has videos they want to share with us, this is like a great way for Aaron and I to hang out and share a few things. So please send us an email or leave us a comment on this video with your YouTube video. And in this case, Zach sent us the raw footage. So we just have the raw footage to work with. So send me the raw footage or a YouTube video of yours. We don't want to comment on YouTube videos that we don't have permission to comment on, because that's just not nice.
And then Zach, to follow up with that, hey, if you guys have questions or comments, put them down below. And we've had some good dialogues on the other videos we've watched so far, and it's fun to hear different people's thoughts. So
yeah, I was watching Westworld last night and commenting on other people's comments. So that was really fun for me to multitask. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us.